Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It seems there's been a decent amount of stressful situations within the classroom recently. The interactions between you and students can quickly escalate if not properly handled. I'd like you to start off by asking you a question. I want you to think of the last time that you had a conflict with a student. What happened? And how exactly did you handle it? Today we'll be picking apart the interaction and discussing some of the proper techniques for you to handle the next upcoming situation. After completing this training, you'll be able to demonstrate the 5 steps of constructively de-escalating a stressful situation within the classroom. I'm sure that this first step you're already quite aware of, if only subconsciously. The first step is to identify a situation as escalated. There are many characteristics a child could display that could be a giveaway of this. They could be using a raised voice, begin pacing. They could be excessively sweating, have the balls of their fists clenched. They could be shaking or fidgeting. They could be speaking rapidly or have a high-pitched voice. Using these characteristics, you can probably identify that a situation has escalated, and if you have identified it, then you will need to assess the situation. To assess the situation, you must find out exactly what the child is upset about and how upset they really are. In this step, you would collect the details. If possible, you should try to bring the child to an area separate from the rest of the students. Allow them to vent about what's bothering them. Give the student your full attention. I think it's important also to adhere to not reprimand the child for anger. Let them observe the anger. Only reprimand them if they start to demonstrate bad behavior. After the child is vented and you've assessed their feelings, now you should be able to communicate with them. You should recite their feelings back to them while labeling their emotions. So for example, you should say, "You're angry because you cannot figure out the math problem." Doing this will help not only increase their self-awareness, but it'll help them gain perspective on their situation. You should use positive phrasing, and you should make sure to save face and never put the child down. With some experience, you'll be able to effectively communicate with the child to help resolve the problem. So now that you've identified the situation, you've assessed it and communicated with the child, the next step in de-escalation is to resolve the conflict. There's never going to be one correct resolution. Hopefully after doing the previous steps, you can now logically communicate with the student. You should ask them how it is that they'd like to proceed. If you can agree with what they present, then you can help them follow through with it. But if they present a logical solution or one you do not see fit, you might have to help them try to arrive at a different one. If still you just cannot find common ground, then you might have to just tell them the appropriate action to be taken. Make sure to follow through with the resolution to help put the conflict to an end. So at this point, hopefully you've successfully diffused the escalated situation, but it might be helpful to install some techniques that could help avoid future escalations. So each teacher will have their own preferences and techniques for doing this, but I'd like to just give a couple examples that may help you brainstorm your own techniques for preventing further escalated situations. I think the easiest way to do this would just be to give examples. For example, this one lady really liked breathing techniques, and she decided to install this into her classroom. And each day they would do a breathing technique, and it would take research, but she would have the students do this breathing technique every day, and she actually observed one student that took the breathing exercises into his own hands to calm himself down after he was getting upset because he could not do his homework. Another example could be just to have an area set up in which a student could color, for example, when they began to get upset, to calm themselves down or to get themselves away from the situation that is upsetting them. These are only examples, and you'd really have to get creative with them to figure out which techniques you could install into your classroom to help the child take an escalated situation into their own hands to prevent it. Hopefully with the aid of these 5 steps, you'll be able to de-escalate or even prevent any future situations that you may encounter in which a student could be getting upset. Thank you.